Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Thursday, April 5th, 11:21 p.m. Mountain Time 2018. You're looking at a spectacular eruption at Shinmoedake. This is a very unique eruption in that you are about to witness an electric volcano. As the ash cloud moves upwards into the upper atmosphere, in this case upwards of 8,000 meters, nearing the stratospheric boundary. There is ionization occurring now with the lava interacting with the dark cloud, and it is going to soon discharge. As our magnetosphere wanes, these discharges, which you're about to witness, are going to become more frequent. Above your heads, which is why domes were built and underground cities that you've heard of, that no one has an explanation for. We're uncovering ample evidence that these electrical events are going to be much more frequent in the future. We're seeing an uptick in lightning in storms and an uptick of lightning in volcanoes. This uptick is just happening in the last decade. And we've been descending into the grand solar minimum for this last decade. Whether you believe it or not, cycle 24 is the first cycle of the grand solar minimum descent. Thank you, Volcano Watch, for this amazing footage. We'll get back to it. And I'll leave you links to it because it's important that you watch it. This is a rare event, and we're going to be witnessing more of these as time progresses. Let's get to the update. Omaha breaks the 1899 low temperature record in Nebraska. Heads up, centennial minimum. They didn't teach that to meteorologists. Now, did they? Cold air, which accumulated over portions of the U.S. and Canada, sent temperatures dropping yesterday, breaking records. The temperature in Omaha dropped to minus 10.5 C on the morning of April 4th. A full 2.7 C lower than the previous record, set back over 120 years ago, back in the centennial minimum. Heads up, Omaha. Snow's possible Friday, and a nor'easter could hit Tuesday. We'll check the models. You'll get links to all this. Wild weather, record cold, snow for central, eastern U.S., Pineapple Express to soak the West. T.S. Eliot once wrote, April is the cruelest month. And that certainly is proving true for winter-weary folks across the northern U.S. as more waves of bitter cold and heavy snow are in the forecast over the next several days. We're about to check the models. On top of this, they're totally fluxed. In the Yosemite Valley, Super Soaker could trigger flooding as atmospheric river hits the valley. Campsites are closing. The predicted peak is right in the central moderate flooding zone. The river, the Merced, will be rising 10 feet on Friday. Whew. Don't camp there. Unless you have a whitewater tent. Let's check the GFS model. There's the storm as it hovers over the central U.S. So the prediction is showing on the GFS a little less activity than last night, but the storm is still extending from Colorado all the way up to New Brunswick with large swaths of sleet, freezing rain, and snow. It's showing this nor'easter develop on Sunday and move just offshore of the coast. If this shifts 50 miles to the west, there will be a much different effect. So if we come quickly to the total snowfall, I'll show you what it looks like in the middle of April across 42 states that will be covered in snow. So we're going to load the icon and the GFS for you. So Saturday, April 7th. You can see the systems moving through here. The Delmarva is going to be the main area hit here. So let's go to total accumulated snowfall. I'm not liking that model. Here we are at the icon. So you can see the accumulations moving to the east. So by the end of the weekend at the icon model here, we're looking at 8 to 10 inches potentially at the highest accumulations here. The second event coming through Monday through Tuesday, literally covering the upper 42 states in snow here. All of New England is going to get 1 to 2 according to the icon, and 1 to 2 inches covering the rest of these 30 states. So the GFS model is going to give us a little bit more pessimistic view. So let's just fill this in through the 13th. And watch this system that they're predicting happening up here in Ontario. That's a 36-inch pulse. So something significant will be happening in the middle of April. But as we move through the center of April here at the 15th, just 10 days forward in the models, we're looking at significant snows in 42 states, including significant snows through Sierras, in Idaho, western Montana, throughout Wyoming, and then a southern Canada event here that we're going to be watching take place here between the 12th and the 16th. So according to the GFS, it's light snow throughout the entire New England area, moving all the way down through Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, the Delmarva, with the heaviest totals south of Washington, D.C. here in Southern Virginia and the tip of the Delmarva, including some heavier snows here in southern West Virginia. So if you live in those regions, let's heads up. There is snow predicted all the way throughout the center of April here to the 15th. The icon showing slightly less, but the same amount of states covered. Inclement pattern over the west coast. Winter storm possible in the east. Here we are at the Weather Ready Nation map, as we do every night. A storm system bringing heavy rain and mountain snow. Strong winds from portions of California to the Pacific Northwest. We have winter storm warnings and watches here throughout western Montana, northeastern Wyoming, most of northwestern Nebraska, some of South Dakota. These are freeze warnings and watches here throughout all of Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri. Winter storm watches in the Ohio Valley and frost warnings in central North Carolina. It's an amazing spring we're having. Silent spring, because there's silence in the mainstream. Toronto's windstorm is getting so crazy that the city is literally falling apart. Take cover until the storm blows over. I'll leave you links to this. The Watchers is covering it. This windstorm has left over 100,000 homes without power in Ontario, and Toronto is blowing away. Largest earthquake in several years shakes Southern California, causing landslides on Santa Cruz Island. Southern California was rattled Thursday by a magnitude 5.3 that struck near the Channel Islands. The quake was the strongest in Southern California in several years, jangling some nerves, but causing no major damage because it occurred offshore in the Pacific and not on land. So there's the big bubble on the East Coast. Nothing significant coming out of this quake, thankfully. No other real quakes of note. Standard moderate activity here on the west coast of South America. But we do have a 5.0 here in Guadalupe, which is the largest earthquake in some time here in the Caribbean. Back to the amazing volcano footage here at formerly UKZ to Volcano Watch, now Volcano YT. They just love changing their name over there. But this footage is amazing. Come over here, support them, download this, keep it on your hard drive. It's a really fascinating event that you could show friends and family of what's happening. As cosmic rays increase, these stratovolcanoes are going to continue to erupt in epic fashion worldwide. We're just waiting on the Cascade Range to wake up. The historical information is clear. Just 200 years ago, we had Mount Baker, Mount Glacier, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood, Mount Shasta, and Mount Lassen all erupting, associated with cosmic ray flux, similar here to Shinmoedake, formerly known as Kirishima and also known as the Kirishima. After a period of relative calm, a moderately powerful volcanism explosion occurred at Shinmoedake summit. We just watched it. This happened yesterday at 3:42 local time. It started with small ash emissions that led to a sudden explosion, producing an ash plume, creating electric and plasma discharge events in the form of massive lightning strikes, which we just saw. The plume rose several kilometers, a height approximately 13,000 feet in altitude, while the Japanese Meteorological Agency gives it at a height of 6.5 kilometers. According to the JMA, a small pyroclastic flow occurred from the center of the crater, traveling down the south side at a distance of 800 meters. Ballistic projectiles or lava bombs landed up to 1,100 meters away. And we have some other volcanoes erupting today. As we said, Kirishima. And let's go back. Ducono and Nevados de Chilan, Sabancaya and Oba. What is this Nevados de Chilan? I've no heard of no Nevados de Chilan. Well, we're going to learn about it right here. Coming over to Nevados de Chilan. Volcanic region, South America, stratovolcano. I wonder what's going on there. Let's look at the activity reports if we can get this to load. I'll tell you what, just doesn't want to work for us. Oh. Guys, we just saw the volcanic lightning. Scientists have figured out what causes that lightning. So if you're interested in what you just saw and the links I'm going to provide you, and you're interested in the science, the secret of what causes volcanic lightning, a strange and violent form of lightning that only happens inside ash clouds of erupting volcanoes, has been cracked. The researchers in Germany figured out what happened back in 2016, and there are links to it. It's basically the same thing that happens with lightning on the surface, ionization, water vapor. Here's the paper. I'll leave you links to it. It's coming from the Geophysical Research Letters, Multi-Parametric Observation of Volcanic Lightning. In this case, Sakurajima from Volcan, Japan. We've been covering the eruption of Sakurajima ongoing as we descend into the grand solar minimum. Back in February 23, 2016, Cimarelli put out this abstract explaining the volcanic lightning generated by volcanism. It's very interesting. I'll leave you links to the article. So the weekly report here is not what we're looking at, but the eruptive history here shows that in the Dalton and Maunder Minimum, the volcanic erupticity here, look at this. It's a VEI 3 level as opposed to 2 in recent times or 1. So in cosmic ray flux periods, if we travel back here into the Maunder Minimum, The eruptive history puts us at VEI 3. So the history is showing ongoing deformation for quite some time here. And the swelling of the plume of the magma chamber started several years ago. So volcano could be erupting in a major way, VEI 2 or 3 shortly. It did erupt VEI 2 in 2016, so we're going to be looking at a minimum of VEI 2 eruptions coming from this particular volcano, Nevados de Chillán. Coming out today, ex-NOAA climate scientist, no role of CO2 in any significant climate change on Earth's surface. In fact, CO2 has zero net effect, according to Dr. Rex J. Fleming, a former NOAA climate scientist, who earned both his master's and PhD in meteorology. Huh. That guy looks pretty legit. You can read all about it. I don't think a lot of you believe CO2 has anything to do with warming. Developing nations, however, do. And they want some of that government money to study ways to dim sunshine. That's a Pacific boom for that earthquake that just popped off there. So, here we are, waiting on a Cascadian eruption as the cosmic rays increase, looking square in the face of the modern eddy minimum as the magnetosphere wanes, which has nothing to do with this graph, but the sun's total solar irradiance is also waning. The cosmic rays will increase, causing more volcanoes to erupt worldwide, causing the temperature to rapidly decrease. And just as in every other grand solar minimum event, you are here, and we can all see clearly where we're going. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so now. Share this with like-minded people. Be safe.